Hello and welcome to the show. Today I have a very two special guests with me. But before that, I think the community radio, you might have heard about it. It's a medium of communication which is utilized by a people who lives within a close proximity. They share a socio-cultural heritage and speak one language or the dialect. Interestingly, community radio was not legal in India till 2002. However, the community radio is now gaining a popularity as a tool of development communication. In our country, there were campaigns by the advocates, academicians, and the members of various communities across the world to get it legalized. It was 1995. You can say it was the turning point when the Honorable Supreme Court said that airways are public property and must be used for the public good, however, with a reasonable restriction. It was to expand the scope of fundamental right as enriched in Article 19 of Constitution, which talks about freedom of speech and expression. This decision laid the foundation of community radio in India. In December 2002, the government approved a policy for grant of licenses for setting up the community radio station only in well-established educational institutes like IITs, IIM. On February 1, 2004, the Anna FM station was launched by the student Anna Community University. Again in 2006, the new policy of community radio allowed agricultural universities, educational institutes, and the civil society institutes such as NGOs to set up the community radio station. Since then, there has been no looking back, and more community stations are being set up across the country. Let's know more about this new medium of communication from our two special guests. Our first guest is Dr. R. Sridhar, which is known to be the father of community radio in India. He is a media expert and community radio practitioner, and presently he is a professor emeritus at APJ University. He was also in Department of Science and Technology and has been served in All India Radio as well. Our second guest is Mrs. Pooja Murada, who is the Director Communication of SMSF Foundation, which runs a community radio, which is called Alfaze Meva. Both of you are welcome in our show. And my first question is to Dr. Sridhar. Dr. Sridhar, it's my query actually. When we have this All India Radio, which has more than 95 coverage of geographical region of the country, then why we have this new medium of communication?
Thank you, Dr. Tyagi. It's very nice of you to organize a program in TD Science Channel. To the public service broadcaster, we are getting an opportunity to talk about community media.
Yeah.
Community radio is a third tier of broadcasting because I worked in All India Radio also. I was working in other radio stations. All India Radio itself had a concept of local radios. In the 1980s, the first, the LRS they call it, it's for a district level or taluk level. First was in Nagarkoil, second was in Kota, Rajasthan. So somehow All India Radio thought of being local, there's no need for a national news relays, and the concept was there, LRS. Somehow it did not pick up in the government medium.
You mean to say there was earlier an attempt also, but in a different way?
In a different way.
Okay.
Actually, if you take Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Calcutta, Nagpur radio station, it will be having a 1 megawatt power.
Okay.
It will be covering around 300 or 400 kilometers of radius. Okay. We had shortwave radios. And then there are smaller radio stations like, Agra or whatever you call it in Jaipur and etc., which were a little less power. But they also had a concept in what I call it is 1970s, when Mrs. Gandhi was the Prime Minister. They wanted to make radio local because there must be voice to the people. So she called it a local radio station. and they started it with a 1 kilowatt power.
So that means the history is not very recent. It goes back.
But that was government controlled and institution controlled. Here,
okay.
The present community radio is not controlled by the government.
Okay. So I think I'll ask this question to Pooja, because when you say the community radio, what do you mean by the community, and who is the community for that radio?
Yes, very important question, Mr. Tyagi. Community, as the word says in community radio, is anyone who's listening to the station. So wherever the community radio is reaching out to, whatever is your broadcast range, and whosoever comes in that range can be your community.
Okay.
So for a NGO station, it is the community of the villages, the number of villages who are getting the range. For an educational institution, it could be students, faculty, and also the community outside the institution.
Okay. Okay. So you can say, if I say this word, like it is a decentralized approach of communication.
I can give you a small example.
Yeah.
If you call it AIR and elephant, community radio is a mosquito or an ant.
I think it's a very good analogy to explain.
Community radio is only a 50 watts, which is just little more than a tube light. It consumes. Whereas AIR is 1000 watts, megawatts, kilowatts, etc. So it's a very small range. It's like a local newspaper.
But to see that, I just have, it's again my query about, like, then what was the initial hiccups in bringing that community radio? I think it was already popular in African country. Before that, it became so common in India.
The government of India.
Yeah.
Actually, organizations like UNESCO and civil society were asking for a community radio after the Supreme Court judgment.
Okay.
The airways are to be made free. The government did not jump immediately into making it free.
Okay.
Slowly they started liberalizing it.
Okay.
First they gave it as a commercial radio. So that no news, no other information, only songs, that the people be entertained and let us see how it works. Then they also started an educational radio called Gyanvani. Then the third step, government as a part of liberalization, they said, okay, let us give a community radio smaller in power to campuses in 2002, but make the campuses also to use the community around it.
Okay.
And the fourth stage is they opened it up to civil society organizations. So it was a part of a slow liberalization because they had a problem at the Kargil attack. And in African countries,
there was some security
parliament attack, security reasons. And in African countries, there are good examples and bad examples.
Okay. Dr. Sridhar, Pooja ji, I think I'll just stop you here for some moment, because I have to take a break, and we'll be back after this small break. Welcome back after the break. Dr. Sridhar, you are considered to be the father of the community radio, because you were the first who set up this community radio in Anna University. So what were the initial challenges, and what kind of the formality you complied with before you got a license and you start the community radio in Anna University?
First of all, I would like to clarify that I had the fortune or opportunity of launching the first licensed community radio station.
That's why you are called the father of community radio in India.
I had an opportunity.
As India is concerned,
But in fact, I had also the opportunity of launching India's first educational radio, parallel to the commercial FM stations. The same day, same time, we started in Gyanvani in Allahabad. So I knew that, and I was also behind the scene, informally working with the community radio policy of 2002. So when I went away to Anna University, I thought, since I knew the process, I will let me try my luck. But at that time, the government was not very clear. So we had to go to 30 different departments to get a license. In fact, today you get a GPS on your mobiles, smartphones. To get a GPS, I had to go to a geospatial center of DST in Dehradun and wait for the 3 months, pay 10,000 rupees to get a GPS of my Anna University radio station.
Okay.
So that was a challenge. We had to go through state government. We had to go through the chief ministers. And
that means there were a lot of procedures.
And in 2006, of course, we had a lot of workshops in Anna University, national, international. And then we made the government understand to liberalize. And then they made it into 5 steps. From 30 steps, it was reduced to 5 steps.
30 to 5?
30 to 5.
Wow.
Now still, this 5 has become 10 now.
Okay, again it has gone up.
10. But now we are trying to reduce it. The government is trying to reduce it in the 2020. But now the procedure is
simplified.
Theoretically easy. You should get a license in 90 days. That's what the law says. There are 3 categories: educational institutions. Now they have liberalized the educational institutions of government owned, or panchayat board, or university, or government high school. They will get a single window clearance. They will apply. And if there is frequency available, that is spectrum available, they will be getting it. Second is agricultural institutes, ICAR institutes. They also got a thing. Civil society organization, now they have put some restrictions. It should come through the district administration, and it goes through the Ministry of Home Affairs for internal security, go to Ministry of Defense.
I want to, Pooja ji, like what was your experience? Because you were also started your, the community radio, very like in the beginning itself.
2000.
Yeah.
So we, for Alfaze Mewat, we actually started the journey. We got the license and started it in 2012. But we, the process started at least 4 years before that.
That means it took 4 years for you to get...
It took us almost 4 years.
Okay.
So once the application, we of course decided and we submitted the application along with the demand draft. The screening took time before we got the letter of intent, and then the application went to from Ministry of Defense to Home to HRD.
I think it was a learning experience for the government also, because it was a new medium, and it was a question of the radio frequency where there are a lot of security concerns were also involved. So government might have also taken its own time to understand the significance of
it is still, I think, there are a lot of applicants who are still taking the same amount of time.
Okay. There are a lot of experience for government. Now they have been liberalized. Now there is a subsidy
from the government.
75% of the cost, initial cost, subject to
installation, equipment,
7.5 lakhs. Is given a subsidy by the government after you launch the radio station.
So it's a reimbursement. First you need to have
means
that
like
amount
initial
of money.
investment comes through the community itself, and then. But there is a
second thing is 90% is this reimbursement as far as Northeast is concerned.
Okay.
Northeast.
Special status has been given to them. But here is one question again, because we are talking about the community radio. It is like by the community, for the community. That means nowadays it's no more voluntary effort, because we have seen that change. People, like the people which we want to engage into the different aspect of community radio, because producing the content part itself, where you require professionalism. So, how to ensure the sustainability of
community radio is not professional radio. It's an amateur radio, okay?
True.
I have my experience 2 things.
Okay.
One is with their own Pooja Murada's radio station, Alfaze Mewat in Nu. How it's being still run by the community with a very minimum payment that they are making from their foundation. Similarly, I have seen it in a PhD College of Technology recently. Both of us have seen. 107 volunteers.
Let's have the first-hand experience in terms of sustainability of a community radio. How was your experience? Suppose if you don't have the backup of your foundation, which has invested initial money. How difficult it is for any civil society group to start the community radio?
I actually interact with a lot of community radios on the ground who are struggling. They are from the community, CBOs, community-based organizations. Sustainability is not easy for community. Easy. Yes, it's definitely not easy for community radios if you do not have a big pockets, deep pockets, or have a support of a foundation or the license organization. DAVP, even if you're impaneled, there is, as compared to the number of campaigns that a commercial radio gets, community radio do not get that kind of commercials. So financial sustainability we are struggling with.
What about the content generation part?
So content, that's what when we have a community radio, it is also a buy-in that at least 50% of our programs will be participatory in approach.
Yes.
So that actually ensures that our content sustainability is there. And apart from that, there are a lot of local, you engage with local folk, local arts, which we encourage in community radios. That also brings content sustainability. But your earlier question about buy-in for the community, I think that is the strongest pillar of community radio, which differs us from public radio, from All India Radio and commercial radio. This is one medium which is actually going to the people at the last mile and understanding their needs. They are it's their medium. So they are coming forward and using that platform to share, whether it's their art or their feelings or what their challenges are or their achievements. So there is a mutual learning that that is generated through the content.
As far as content, if 5 years, 6 years old radio station, they have created enough people's awareness and enough talent locally to create content. Our radio station is run by an illiterate person. I was just going through some paper. She has given an interview saying that how she organizes a mouse and do the editing also.
Dr. Sridhar, Pooja, I have to stop you for a moment because I have to take a break. We'll be back again after this small break. Welcome back. Dr. Sridhar, and both of you, I think you can reply this question. What is the current status of community radio in terms of its financial sustainability and content sustainability, and the number of community radio which has been set up, and how is they working?
See, as on date, if my statistics is correct, 260 plus radio stations are functioning. 2004 was the first radio station and 2008 was the first civil society run radio station. But there are 100 more stations are in the various stages of coming within a year or so. And the original target was 4,000 radio stations. This 4,000 was not written anywhere. 4,000 was based on the mapping of the country with respect to the frequency. There is a certain frequency reserved for community radio. Commercial radio, there is a separate frequency. So everybody uses the Army, Navy uses it. But sustainability can be divided into 4 types. One is content sustainability, they are almost reaching it. Human resources, they are able to manage volunteers, train people, local skills development. But financial sustainability is a big question mark. Technical sustainability.
Technical sustainability.
Technical sustainability is another.
What do you mean by technical sustainability?
See, you have a 50-watt transmitter, you have an antenna, you must have a tower, you need a tower. If something goes wrong,
so let's have from Pooja how you are managing this technical challenge then.
So all the 4 sustainability aspects that Dr. Sridhar mentioned, in community radio, at least in my experience, what we have done, we haven't created specialized roles for anyone.
Multiple role is being played by the people which you
each
have.
of our community volunteer and person who's at the radio is doing the content, is the RJ, is also the script writer, is also the editor, and also handling the equipment.
Okay.
So they are trained, they are learning on the job. Of course, when the problems come, when
that was the real spirit of community radio, I think.
When the equipment falters, they on the phone, because most of the transmitter people and they are sitting not in the village but somewhere in Delhi. So on the phone they are getting trained then that how to fix that problem. So on the job training makes them also sustain, they are able to sustain the equipment.
I think the last question,
I would take it up. But today the whole world is going digital. I don't know when the India government is going to declare that. They have already made TV digital, set-top boxes, cable wallas, everybody digital. They are going to make some year, 2025 or 2030, as a cutoff year to close analog. So the moment it goes to digital, already All India Radio is working on DRM radio stations, 70 places. So DRM means you can have very low cost. One radio infrastructure, 4 radio stations can share.
That's why I was trying to ask my last question to both of you, especially how you see the future of community radio, where we have a competitor like the FM, commercial FM, and the internet radio is also emerging on this scenario.
According to me, I think there is, because I work at grassroots, there is still a large information divide in the
Indian
the
scenario.
In Indian scenario, there is still a large information divide. The telephones, the connections have reached almost everywhere. It's time that community radio also integrate their work with the technology, the content. There are 22 main languages, but there are over 1,600, 1,700 dialects.
I think officially
more than
it's more than that. I think it's more than 4,000 something, like I read somewhere. Dialects.
So looking at those dialects and having content in the language that is understood by the people, whether it's a tribal community or a villager or anywhere in the country. So if you're community, if you're broadcasting through the FM transmission and also integrating it through mobile technology, that actually I feel is the requirement of the time.
Or if I should say, like the country with such a humongous diversity like India, it will always remain a relevant medium.
Radio,
so the last word from you.
Radio is not dead. As early as 1 year back, a commercial FM was sold at 160 crores. In 2004, it was 1 crore in Delhi. 1 crore. That means commercial people are not fools to invest 160 crore. So radio is still relevant, but it should be multitasking, multiple medium, convergent technology, and ultimately there is a possibility with the DRM, etc., a visual radio.
Dr. Sridhar, Pooja, thank you very much for being on our show. It was really a very great experience about knowing anything about the community radio, and thank you very much once again
for
being a part of the show. Community radio are a great way to communicate within a local community or a region. If you have any further question on this subject or would like to give us some feedback, please write to us on the mail address on the screen. Thank you very much and goodbye.